Eleanor SHH was not your average septuagenarian, with her sharp aura eyes and a shock of silver hair that cascaded down her back. She bore the regality and grace of a woman who had seen the world and had stories to tell. A self-made millionaire, Eleanor had built an empire out of sheer grit, determination, and parallel business acumen. Her sprawling mansion was filled with antique pieces, each holding a tale of its own, and her wardrobe boasted of brands that most could only dream of. Yet, with all the wealth and opulence, there was a profound solitude that she wore around her like a cloak. Every weekend, Eleanor would visit various art galleries, absorbing the creativity and seeking solace in the works of artists from different eras. It was during one such visit to a quaint downtown gallery that Eleanor's life took an unexpected turn. The gallery showcased modern art, with bold strokes and contrasting colors reflecting the chaos and beauty of contemporary life. As she studied a particularly striking piece, Eleanor felt a presence beside her. Turning, she was met with a radiant smile and twinkling eyes. Alex, a man in his late 20s, stood there dressed in a crisp white shirt and charcoal trousers, with an easy charm and an evident appreciation for art. Alex initiated a conversation about the piece they both were admiring. His youth kicker, from the intricacies of brushwork to the emotion conveyed, left Eleanor impressed. With every meeting, their bond strengthened. Alex, with his effervescent energy, brought a fresh perspective into Eleanor's life. He talked about his adventures, the countries he had visited, and the dreams he held close. His laughter was infectious, and before long, Eleanor found herself enamored by his charm. Whispers soon spread among Eleanor's circle. Friends and relatives raised eyebrows, their skepticism about Alex's intentions evident in hushed conversations. After all, the young man's ardor for a woman nearly 3 times his age seemed improbable, if not impossible. Quick pause here. If this story's grabbing your interest, tap like and subscribe. It really helps me keep bringing you these tales. Many speculated it was Eleanor's vast fortune that was the true object of Alex's affection. But Eleanor, now feeling a vitality she hadn't felt in years, dismissed their concerns. She saw in Alex a kindred spirit, a soul that mirrored her younger self, ambitious, passionate, and free-spirited. Alex, for his part, seemed genuinely captivated by Eleanor. He listened with rapt attention to stories of her struggles, her triumphs, and the lessons she had gleaned over the years. Their weekends were filled with visits to new places, shared meals, and laughter. Soon, Eleanor introduced Alex to the finer things in life: opera, wine-tasting events, and luxurious parties. In return, Alex's show turned into a whirlwind romance, and before anyone could truly fathom the depth of their connection, wedding bells chimed. In a private ceremony, Eleanor and Alex exchanged vows, sealing their unlikely union. The event, attended by Eleanor's closest friends and relatives, was a bittersweet affair. While the joy of seeing Eleanor so lively and happy was palpable, the undercurrent of doubt about Alex's true motives remained. Yet, as Eleanor danced with Alex, the twinkle in her eyes was undeniable. At that moment, it didn't matter what the world thought or said. In the twilight of her life, Eleanor had found a love that made her heart sing. Whether it was genuine or time would reveal a different story. For now, Eleanor, based in the glow of her newfound happiness, was content. Clara had known Eleanor for over 4 decades. They'd been through everything together: the highs of success, the lows of heartbreak, and the countless challenges in between. Eleanor's recent marriage to Alex had always troubled Clara. The age difference, the haste, and Alex's too perfect demeanor made Clara's protective instincts go into overdrive. Deciding to act upon her suspicions, she reached out to a discreet private investigator known for his impeccable track record. Days turned into weeks, and Clara waited with bated breath. The investigator, a wiry man named Richard, finally called her for a meeting at a quiet coffee shop. Richard slid a dossier across the table, cautioning Clara about its contents. As she flipped through the pages, filled with photos and notes, the color drained from her face. The evidence was irrefutable. Alex had been leading a double life, simultaneously seeing younger woman behind Eleanor's back. Armed with this information, Clara confronted Alex one evening at a bar he frequented. The dim lighting and muted jazz playing in the background contrasted sharply with the intensity of the confrontation. Clara's voice, though low, was fraught with anger. "How could you do this to Eleanor? She deserves better than your deceit." Alex's laughter was cold, dismissive. "Eleanor is an old woman living in a fairy tale," he smirked, taking a sip of his drink. "I give her company, and she gives me a taste of the good life. It's a fair deal." Clara's threat that Eleanor would find out about his infidelities and his subsequent fallout seemed to barely faze him. He left the bar with a confident swagger, believing he had everything under control. But things began to shift. Whether it was his overconfidence or a simple carelessness, Alex's behavior became increasingly erratic. He would disappear for hours without any explanation, and when questioned, his justifications were flimsy at best. He became glued to his phone, guarding it with a fierceness that was new to Eleanor. Whispers of his liaisons reached her ears, and one evening, Eleanor chanced upon a stray earring under their bed, a piece of jewelry she didn't own. The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. Eleanor had trusted Alex and opened her heart and home to him, and in return, he had betrayed her. But Eleanor was no naive damsel. She'd faced adversity before, and this was just another challenge she had to confront. Determined to protect her assets and her dignity, she reached out to Samuel. Samuel, a gray-haired man with sharp eyes, had been Eleanor's lawyer for over 20 years. The two shared a bond of trust and mutual respect. As Eleanor narrated her story, Samuel's expression remained unreadable. However, the slight clenching of his fist was evidence enough of his fury on her behalf. "We'll handle this," Samuel assured Eleanor, outlining a strategy to secure her wealth and expose Alex for the fraud he was. Eleanor, fortified by Samuel's support, prepared herself for the battle ahead. The tale of a woman scorned is a powerful one, but the story of a woman betrayed who chooses resilience over despair and actions over tears is even more potent. Eleanor was ready to reclaim her life with dignity and grace, proving that no betrayal could break her indomitable spirit. In the confines of Samuel's office, with its wooden paneling and shelves lined with law books, the two old friends brainstormed. The atmosphere was heavy with a mix of Eleanor's hurt and Samuel's burning desire for justice. Samuel, with his decades of experience, had contacts that spanned the city's upper echelons down to its shadowy alleys. They needed to be methodical, and they needed it to be thorough. First on the agenda was the evidence. Samuel got in touch with Richard, Clara's investigator, leveraging his resources and combining them with Samuel's own network. They began piecing together a damning portrait of Alex. Nightclubs, hotels, and even weekend getaways. Every encounter was meticulously recorded. Samuel's connections in the tech world helped them access surveillance footage, while a few bribes ensured they had testimonies from some of Alex's liaisons. Every piece of evidence was duplicated and stored in secure locations. Eleanor, for her part, played the role of the unsuspecting wife to perfection. She draped herself in a facade of contentment, ensuring Alex remained oblivious. Their public outings were marked by Eleanor's radiant smiles, even as her heart clenched at every secretive glance Alex shot in another woman's direction. Throughout this, her evenings were spent in introspection. Eleanor's thoughts wandered to her early life, the years of hardship in the orphanage after being abandoned as a baby. The memories of cold nights, the scarce meals, and the rare kindness of the staff made her the resilient woman she had become. That very orphanage had been the foundation of her strength and determination. In a moment of clarity, Eleanor made a decisive choice. She called Samuel, and the two met at the orphanage, in the now aging structure with peeling paint, but still housing dreams and hopes of numerous children. Standing there, with the sounds of innocent laughter around them, Eleanor voiced her decision to bequeath her entire fortune to the institution. Samuel, ever the meticulous lawyer, began the process of revising her will. Every property, every piece of jewelry, every last cent was redirected towards the betterment and upliftment of the orphanage. Eleanor felt a surge of warmth, knowing her hard-earned legacy would now pave the way for many bright futures. However, they weren't done. Samuel suggested a plan so audacious it took Eleanor's breath away, a posthumous revelation. They would host a grand event after Eleanor's time under the guise of a will reading. Invitations would be sent to friends, family, and the cream of society. The evidence of Alex's treachery would be showcased for all to see, stripping him not just of Eleanor's fortune, but also his facade of decency. The days turned into weeks, and the plan was set in motion. Every detail was checked and double-checked. Discreet rehearsals were held to ensure the eventual revelation would be seamless. The final piece of the plan was a heartfelt letter penned by Eleanor, expressing her gratitude to the orphanage and her hope for the future. The letter ended with a poignant note for Alex, highlighting the value of love, trust, and integrity. The strategy, while elaborate, was a reflection of Eleanor's spirit. It combined her desire to safeguard her legacy with her indomitable will to stand against deceit. In the face of betrayal, she chose strength, resilience, and a lasting impact, ensuring Alex's treachery would not just be exposed, but would be remembered for ages to come. The day dawned somber, mirroring the heavy hearts of the city's elite as they prepared to bid farewell to one of their most celebrated figures. Eleanor's passing had been sudden, leaving many in shock. Her mansion, which had witnessed countless grand events, was now the center of a melancholic gathering. Luxury cars lined the driveways as dignitaries, business moguls, and close friends arrived in their finest attire. The mansion's garden was transformed into a sea of white, elegant chairs, canopies, and lilies everywhere. Soft, mournful melodies played in the background, adding to the gravitas of the occasion. In the midst of the crowd was Alex, dressed in a pristine black suit. His demeanor was that of the perfect grieving husband. His eyes, however, told a different story. Every now and then, they darted around, gauging the reactions of the attendees. He exchanged hushed words with a few, nodding solemnly as he accepted condolences. But behind this mask, Alex was impatient. He eagerly awaited the reading of Eleanor's will, confident he was about to become a very wealthy man. As the eulogies concluded and the attendees paid their final respects, Samuel made his way to the podium. A hushed anticipation settled over the gathering. Many were aware of Samuel's close association with Eleanor and were very curious about the contents of her will. Samuel began by sharing personal anecdotes of his long-standing relationship with Eleanor, painting a vivid picture of her grace, strength, and resilience. Then, with a deep breath, he signaled the AV team. A projector hummed to life, casting its light onto a large screen behind him. What played next was a montage that left the audience gasping. Photos of Alex with other women, clips from their secret rendezvous, and testimonies from these liaisons were showcased for all to witness. The garden, moments ago filled with soft whispers and sniffling, now echoed with gasps of disbelief and murmurs of shock. Close-up shots captured the color draining from Alex's face, his confident demeanor crumbling. Each piece of evidence was a dagger slashing away at his facade. Once the damning montage concluded, Samuel, with an expression of steely resolve, began reading Eleanor's revised will. He spoke of her decision to leave her vast assets, her properties, her jewels, and even her cherished antiques to the very orphanage that had once been her home. Alex's dreams of wealth evaporated with each word, leaving him stunned. Samuel then took out an envelope, Eleanor's personal note to Alex. Clearing his throat, he read, "In our moments of love, I saw hope, but your betrayal taught me a valuable lesson. True love is priceless. Learn to value it." The message was poignant, a blend of sorrow and admonishment. The ceremony ended with many in attendance shaking their heads, discussing the revelations in hushed tones. Alex, once confident, now looked defeated. He quickly made his exit, avoiding the eyes of the crowd. His dreams of a lavish future were crushed, his reputation in tatters. Eleanor's funeral became a legend in high society, not just as a final farewell to a beloved figure, but as a powerful lesson on the consequences of greed. Eleanor's story was shared and retold, a testament to the strength of a woman who, even in death, stood tall against deceit, reinforcing the age-old belief that true love and integrity far outweigh the allure of wealth.
Demandez à ChatGPT.